Welcome back to this week's Ohio Tech Report presented by Zendesk. It's another exciting week in tech. There's so much happening in the state of Ohio, but today we are joined, as I hit the little buttons, by Brandy from Toledo of Spaceshop. But Brandy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about what you all do, and give us some insight outside of the three C's and what's happening and some of the stuff you're seeing in Toledo.
Yeah, I am so excited to be representing the 419, the Glass City, here today. I'm Brandy Alexander-Wimberly, and I'm with Spaceshop Commerce, and we are an e-commerce agency. We consider ourselves a multi-channel e-commerce agency, so we are an Amazon partner, a Shopify partner, and a Adobe Magento partner too.
Awesome. Well, Brandy, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get to our three stories. Before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, Zendesk, which helps make this conversation and weekly introducing everyone to a new leader in the Ohio tech space. But Zendesk was built upon a simple idea: make customer service software that's easy to use and accessible to everyone. Zendesk's customer service and engagement products are powerful and flexible and scale to meet the needs of any business. They serve businesses across hundreds of industries with more than 145,000 paid customer accounts, offering service and support in more than 30 languages. They're headquartered in San Francisco and they operate worldwide. If you go to zendesk.com, you can learn more about them and how the best customer experiences are built with Zendesk. But Brandy, if you're ready, we'll dive in to our first story, which is kind of an encapsulation of startups throughout the state. And so this is the venture development organizations. So JumpStart, CincyTech, the Entrepreneur Center in Dayton, CincyTech. I don't know if I mentioned them, TechGROWTH Ohio. So all the different ones happening. They are hosting next week on February 24th at 12 p.m. the State of Startups in Ohio. You're going to hear from Lieutenant Governor John Husted. You're going to hear from the different leaders at the different venture development organizations. You'll hear from three founders. I held up four, but three that have had interesting and successful stories in tech. And it's cool. We'll drop the link for people to join. But Brandy, I kind of wanted to start with this one, not necessarily to dive into any specifics per se, but just the growth of the tech space that's been happening in startups, which there's more momentum than it seems like there ever has been. And so it's really exciting to see.
There is a ton of energy in Ohio right now, and it's really exciting, especially because I've been in sort of the digital startup space since really about 2012. So I have seen it really scale, and it's come to this interesting point where there's enough sort of venture capital companies and firms located here in Ohio, and there's enough startups to have that funding. And that's really the magic when those two come together. I mean, that's what made Silicon Valley, so magical. So that's really great to see. And we'll be there at that event for sure.
That's awesome. Well, and with your space, e-commerce, I think it's Shopify that says like anyone can be an entrepreneur. And that's what's cool is that kind of obviously the internet, but then COVID has accelerated the adoption of kind of working from anywhere. And there's a ton of people in your space, no pun intended, that are opening up businesses and selling online and being able to connect literally with the global marketplace from anywhere.
From anywhere. And it's a huge opportunity just thinking about how to create your own brand and sell on digital channels. It's never been easier. You can look at it as a piece of your portfolio, really, honestly. So there's definitely a method to it, but it's not anything that isn't something that anyone can figure out, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go to story number two, but again, we hope people can join next week. And this is one of the newest startups, as we're talking about, in the state. It's $57 million raise. They just came out of stealth mode, but it's AndHealth. So for people that have been covering or following Ohio startup scene for a little bit, this is started by Matt Scantland, who is the former founder and CEO of Cover My Meds, which had a $1 billion plus exit a few years ago, and a bunch of employees that he worked with that helped build Cover My Meds into the success that it is. And so they're AndHealth, which is a digital health company for reversing migraine and autoimmune diseases. Again, they raised $57 million, Brandy. It's exciting to see. And you kind of talked about the kind of growth and evolution of things. Well, tech entrepreneurs starting something, having success, then being able to use that success and roll it up into something new and tackling new problems. that's that kind of that next wave, as you've seen in Silicon Valley and other places.
Yeah, for sure. And healthcare in Ohio is, it's sort of a natural fit with all of the infrastructure that we have here already. I know here in Toledo, we have ProMedica, which is, sort of has a national reach as well. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening in that space, in healthcare in particular in Ohio, that we've been seeing, just in terms of also with commerce too. And how sort of digital commerce and healthcare are coming together. That's also something that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. And we'll now pivot to our third story, which is about some of the commerce and some of the area you work in. But for sports fans out there, the NBA All-Star Game is coming to Cleveland, so the Cavs are able to host that, which is awesome and cool. But you're seeing some cool stuff in your all's area of commerce and kind of that side of the business side of the NBA and sports. So give us some insight what you're seeing with the NBA All-Star coming to town.
Yeah, for sure. So this was on my radar because I have a client actually coming in from the East Coast to go to that game. So I'm actually heading to Cleveland for that reason. But as I dug into it, I noticed a lot of brand activations happening in Cleveland this weekend. Let's hope the weather holds out for them. But yeah, I mean, a lot of exciting things happening. StockX is going to be there. I saw that, Tiffany has an activation. So it's sort of this interesting convergence of all these different types of brands that really want to, do something interesting in Cleveland. So it's really cool to see.
That is, and it's been a big sports week for Ohio, and I know the Bengals were close, but you have Cincinnati, and then now you have Cleveland with the NBA and basketball coming in. But those are our three stories for the week. But Brandy, I want to kind of turn it back to you. Tell us a little bit more about Space Shop, what you all do, and how people can either discover you or your company. And you mentioned, one of the clients you're working on. What's some other interesting stuff that you're up to?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you can find us at spaceshopcommerce.com. And again, we work pretty exclusively with product brands and manufacturers. We also work with some organizations. So one in particular is we work with the guys that do New York Comic Con, and we actually just rolled out a marketplace for them. So we're doing a lot of interesting things with the convergence of retail and live events and commerce that sort of goes outside of our traditional, just helping people on Amazon and building a website. So a lot of interesting things just in the world of converging technologies.
That's really cool. And I know we've had this conversation for an Ohio X event before, but I think commerce and kind of e-commerce and the future of it is an interesting thing that Ohio is playing an interesting role with some of the stuff in Cincinnati and like the Amazon distribution at the airport. Columbus has some interesting companies that are being built up. You all in Toledo, adding to all that as well. But Ohio, it's an interesting spot to watch our state and some of these things that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
100%. And Chris, here's how I know that it's sort of heating up here for us. I was on a call last night with one of my clients who is actually based in Vietnam because of their manufacturing out there. And he's asking me if I know any good manufacturers in Ohio that he can tap into because of all the supply chain issues and, just getting things speed to market here in the US. So yeah, it's an interesting time to be on this side of the equation in digital commerce.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Brandy, thanks so much for joining. We want to thank Zendesk, who's our presenting sponsor again for the Ohio Tech Report. It's an exciting time in Ohio, as we've been talking about and as we see each week. But Brandy, enjoy the game. It sounds like you're going to have a fun weekend in Cleveland, and I think the weather this weekend at least will be maybe a little bit warmer than it has been in Northern Ohio.
Let's hope so. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great weekend. And again, Brandy, thanks for all you're doing, and thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.